And welcome back to the Dora Boys Dynasty Football Podcast, another sponsored stream from Yards Per Fantasy. I am Stephen Chalmers, joined as always by my buddy Ryan Odell, a.k.a. Deli. Ryan, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today, get to have a little bit of fun. We've done tons of mock drafts, the whole nine for the last about month or so. We get to the actual NFL draft. It's time to talk about the first round. What that means for the team impact and what it means for fantasy impact. That being said, Steve, I think the first player is obvious to talk about. You've been touting him all season. 1 overall.
Yeah, I just want to say before we get started, this is fantasy purgatory. This was not the first round that I had envisioned. Again, it just shows how different sometimes NFL GMs can be as opposed to fantasy analysts. So do please keep that in mind when we talk about this. Just be aware that sometimes things don't work out how we want them to, guys. Fantasy impacts have changed a lot with this first round. So we're going to get started. The first pick being Caleb Williams. Let's be honest here. There was nothing different that happened than what we expected. Caleb Williams is a set and forget it 101 in your fantasy leagues as your rookie pick here. It doesn't change. Dynasty outlook looks really good. The situation is perfect for a rookie QB to walk into. A lot of weapons. I mean, a lot of weapons. So let's pair these two together. Let's pair him and Odunze together at the 9 pick. I think that's a beautiful way to start this show. I think Caleb Williams walks into obviously a top 8 dynasty QB situation. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see how any way, shape, or form this guy's set up to fail.
Yeah, there's absolutely no excuses for him. And they even added in the draft on top of what they've already done with Odunze. So, I mean, lay it on. You know what I mean? He's got all the weapons he needs to succeed. We've referenced this before, but he's got probably the most spoiled prospect we've seen maybe ever.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. Spoiled. But, I mean, nothing's changed here, guys. You're set it and forget it.
He's still your 101. We can just keep it pushing.
Yep. Let's talk about Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is going to be your next pick here. I don't mind the situation. I think it's not fantasy purgatory by any means with the weapons around him. Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler, Jahan Dotson. We can keep going on the list here. But the big thing is here, this is the team that allowed the most sacks in the league last year, over 90 sacks allowed, whether that be Sam Howell's slow development when it came to processing the NFL field or whether that just be the offensive line is that bad. It's got to be a mix of both here. QB play is drastically different. Sam Howell had the evasion, the ability to evade in the pocket. We saw that. But there's nobody with the athletic ability of Jaden Daniels right now in this draft class. How does Jaden Daniels succeed in Washington? Ryan, what do you think?
Well, I think he's set up pretty well just to start things out with. I mean, he has that safety blanket of Austin Eckler. You're not going to get Austin Eckler that Justin Herbert had, right? It's a different player we're talking about here, but he's still a safe option. He's got surefire hands out the backfield. He's got that going for him. And he's going to have to get the ball out straight up. Like you said, you referenced it already. The sacks are a huge problem. He's going to have to find a way to get the ball out with that offense. And if not, you already know he's quick to run. I think a lot of his success, certainly his rookie year, is probably going to come via the run. I still think he still needs to touch on some things as a passer. Plus, that Washington line's not great to begin with. So just getting his feet set in that pocket, make some passes as quickly as possible. We're going to have to scheme some things up for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think developmentally this is a great spot to be for a QB who needs to polish some things on throwing the football. But I do think he brings a lot of value with his legs. Again, we always talk about how Jaden Daniels does not tend to avoid contact, so that does scare me a little bit. Playing in a stacked NFC East, this division and these front sevens he's going to face are absolutely stacked.
Yeah.
So I just want to say good luck to Jaden Daniels because it's going to be bad. This is a really
rough division. I want a guy who already took hits and now
he ain't ever got hit by Michael Parsons before. That's for sure.
Yeah, good God. The Giants got a legion over there. We got a legion of the Giants. I mean, Good luck to him.
The Eagles are
I
never
want nothing
stopped.
best for him. That being said, you've been kind of low on him. You said, in the past, like 105, 106 is about your range for him. I could be wrong. Do you think that moves up now that he's got the draft cap and he's with the
I
Commanders?
stay the same. I stay the same.
Game?
I stay the same. I do think my question comes is he going to earn the second contract in the NFL?
Right.
I always really question these guys as prospects. Like I said, I never saw anything at Arizona State that made me love Jaden Daniels, and now LSU. We come to a perennial powerhouse system, and we ball out. So there's some questions there. So I still say the same with Jaden Daniels. He's my QB3. But I'd like to talk about Drake May, who we talked about O-line purgatory for Jaden Daniels. Drake May might have just entered fantasy relevancy purgatory, especially early on in his career. It's really rough over in New England.
Yeah, it's tough. You're not coming into the greatest situation. I mean, we could talk about it. We'll get into it at the next show when we finish off the rest of the cap. But they drafted Jalen Polk as his wide receiver out of this class. Certainly where I wouldn't have gone. I think it's a little early for him to go where he went. But we won't talk about Polk for much. Drake May, I think, as a quarterback is going to be fine, right? Talent's there. Sure, he might have a slow release. But I think he'll be a fine prospect. And he's probably going to need some time. That offense is abysmal. The defense is okay, but this team's got a lot of work to do, and they're going to have to hope they're going to want to actually build around Drake May, and he doesn't get sent off like Mac Jones or Justin Fields did in these past seasons. Because he really is entering a situation where it's tough for him to succeed year one.
Yes, he is. And that's okay. I think the Patriots have realized where they are as an organization. Bill Belichick, the whole regime is now gone. It's a whole new regime. We haven't seen a regime change in New England since 1999, since we were kids.
Talking
we're
decades.
It's been a rough change for the Patriots, and that's fine. But I think they found their guy, and I think they realize that. I think it's going to take some time, and that's fine, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So if you have Drake May, we've always preached patience, especially because we didn't know where the landing spots are, and now we know. So let's preach patience here. Let's talk about the intangibles. Let's talk about the tools, and let's just work on that. Let's focus on cleaning up some things for Drake May. You're talking about the slower throw, the slower release time on the throw,
right?
And that's fine. There's things to clean up, but I don't think they're going to leave him in purgatory long. This is an organization in a city that's not used to losing. So I hope they get back to those winning ways, that winning culture.
Yeah, sure.
Next up,
Maserati
Marv.
We want
Maserati Marv.
Maserati Marv.
I mean, second favorite landing spot for any.
Honestly, your second favorite? It's been the number one landing spot for me for him for a long time now.
No, it's my second favorite for overall for my.
Okay. Yeah, dude, absolute smash out of the ballpark for the Cardinals here in my mind. You go from having who at receiver?
Hollywood Brown, baby.
Hollywood Brown on the Chiefs?
That's what I'm saying. Hollywood Brown was their number one. Now
Well, I mean, as of right now, they don't have anybody.
Oh, my boy Michael Wilson.
Michael Wilson. Thank you. So that's absolute money for Kyler coming off of his injury. It's big plus for him. Also, I think moving forward, this probably means that Kyler's gonna stay with the organization. So those two are probably locked in for a good little bit here. I'm excited for Marvin. He's set up. I said it year one as soon as he got drafted. He's set up for 135 targets year one, barring injury.
Yes. And to anybody that ever questioned the reason to buy Kyler Murray in Dynasty, we're now here. We're here. We're fully healthy.
Me crazy.
2024, we're fully healthy with Kyler Murray. We got the blindside left tackle we needed last year, and then they add Marvin Harrison. Here we go, baby. You know what I mean? Here we are. They're going to add another receiver eventually as a number 2 complimentary, and then we got Trey McBride. It's an offense that could be really, really fun going into 2025. Really, really fun. I'm excited to see Marvin Harrison in this landing spot. Like you said, I think he's locked in to at least 120, least 120 looks. possibly more. We'll see. But you had him pegged as an 1,100 plus yard receiver as a rookie, and I can't agree more.
Yeah.
The touchdown numbers are always fluky. You know, we'll see where that lands.
Yeah, we don't want to get in. Touchdowns are
We don't
fluke,
get in.
especially
Yeah, we don't
because-
get into touchdown numbers, but we're both under the impression that he can come in and make an immediate impact.
History doesn't say that. But what was it? I think it did broke it down like a 7% chance to be a top 10 receiver. But if anybody's going to do it, he set up pretty well.
Yeah. I don't think the expectation of top 15 receiver year one is out of the question.
Yeah.
But then you go to your dynasty rankings. He's got to be in the top 5 for you guys now. He's now entered the league. He's a top 5 dynasty receiver. So Marvin Harrison, 102.
Marvin Harrison, 102. Straight.
But a lot of guys are hating on my guy, Malik Neighbors here. And I actually don't hate the landing spot. Welcome to the New York Giants, Malik Neighbors. I don't hate the landing spot. Why? Because I think Daniel Jones suits his skill set. I really do. We're going to have negative game scripts for the Giants all year long.
All year.
We're playing the toughest division in the NFL. Negative game scripts, plus Daniel Jones thriving in the short to intermediate areas. Doesn't have to beat you deep. Short to intermediate areas is where Malik Neighbors thrives. Get the ball in his hands, and he's going to make money out of nothing.
Yep.
Malik Neighbors is one of the most explosive receivers after the catch to come in the league in quite some time. He is a beast. And again, I think the situation is better for Marvin Harrison, but I don't think the situation is exactly bad for Malik Neighbors. I think Malik Neighbors could walk in again to 120 targets and be an absolute monster. If he finishes as a top 15 receiver in the NFL this year, I don't think it's out of the question. I have him pegged more towards the top 20 range. But again, I think he's going to make an immediate impact on the Giants, and I think he's going to make an immediate impact on the league.
Yeah, so I first of all, love the pick. I'm glad we passed on McCarthy. Could bite us, but I like Neighbors here. That being said, I want to know, I'm curious. If you're here in the comments, we're 12 minutes in, excuse me. How are you guys feeling about my Giants taking Neighbors? If you go drop that in the comments, let us know how you're feeling about it. If he's up on stock I guess he doesn't go up in any way. Or if he stays even or goes down your boards. I don't think he moves from me. I mean, me and Steve have been preaching since the start that talent always prospers. I think that still applies in this situation. His talent will show. He's going to get opportunities to do things with the ball, especially with Danny Dimes, who's can hopefully function as a quarterback. I think Steve made a joke on draft day. Well, yesterday. He said that he'll get 120 targets and maybe 70, 80, what do you say, 80 of them would be catchable.
I said 40 as a joke. But realistically, I'm hoping for 80 plus deemable catchable targets.
And that's kind of where I'm at with it too. That being said, who's to say that he won't average 17, 18 yards per catch? I mean, you can still put up significant numbers while only catching 70 balls.
Remember, Jamar Chase only caught 80 balls in his rookie year, granted from Joe Burrow, but I get it's a huge difference. But
right.
He was also a top 5 receiver as a rookie.
Yeah.
I'm not putting anything out of the realm of possibility for these two receivers here. They are both elite talents, and their talent's going to shine on the field. There's no DB in the NFC East that can lock up Malik Neighbors.
Hey, man.
I mean, if you think a 33-year-old Darius Slay can for a whole football game, then God bless you.
Nah, the Eagles did pretty good. They dropped the 2 corners, but
they did get their 2 corners.
They got both sides covered.
The next pick, I'm just going to ask this question. What the fuck?
Yeah.
If I had a paper with a draft grade on it, Ryan and I were going to hang it upside down. You paid Kirk Cousins 4 years, $180 million. A lot of it's front loaded. Yes, I get that. But at the same time, I know you can move money around. But if Kirk is your guy, I just can't understand the Michael Penix pick. I can't.
Yeah, it's really strange, right? I mean, you just locked in Kirk Cousins. You thought 4 years, $100 million guaranteed. I mean, that's the money he's getting no matter what. And my initial thought is they don't really have a backup right now. Ritter's out the door, so they didn't really have a backup in case he did need to miss some of the season with that Achilles injury. Now, does he? Who knows? But I still can't warrant number 8 overall value for Michael Penix. It's one of the more head-scratching picks I think I've maybe ever seen in my life. Like, I couldn't believe my ears. It was absolutely insane. I don't think anybody expected it. And if they did, they're out of their fucking minds. Sorry for cussing. I got nothing for you on it, man. Me and you have both been trying to avoid talking about this, but now we're here, and I still hate the pick.
Yeah, this is where the draft got really weird for me because I expected more trades up front, and this didn't happen. There's trade, and we locked in. They locked in Penix.
Yeah,
absolutely hate it. I'm beyond hatred for this pick. So that's just where I'm at with it. It doesn't affect any.
I guess they're going for like a Jordan Love type situation here with.
He's going to be 29 years old when this contract ends. Explain that to me.
I'm not saying you're wrong. It's the only thing that makes sense in my head. It's the only thing that can make it make sense.
So as we paired the Caleb and Rome thing, the Rome combination here, I want to say this. I think you have to tamper your expectations for Rome Odunze. I compare it similarly to the Jackson Smith and Jigba situation. Right. And I'm not saying that Rome Odunze can't be successful, but when you have target hogs like Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, you got DeAndre Swift there, who can play a heavy receiving role in an offense. Cole Kmet has been an established vet there. These guys have all paved their way. They've all paid their dues. Rome Odunze now has to do that. Long-term value linked to Caleb Williams. Great.
So good.
Great. Yeah. I just think you need to tamper expectations year one. Keenan Allen doesn't have a contract past the 2024 season. So get your guy, get your talent. Dynasty's a long game. Hold your shares. I don't think his value is going to drop because of the fact he's going to be linked to Caleb Williams. It's a great combination for the long-term value. So good hold for you guys there. Good pick.
I think it's 100% just hold. You wait one season and he's put in that 2 role, maybe even the 1 hole over DJ Moore, or at least next to him. You figure they probably profile 1A, 1B. Keenan's probably gone next year. Can't preach this enough. Cannot preach this enough. Do not pass up on talent in Dynasty. It will come full circle eventually. The talent's there. He'll get his time. Just lock in Odunze. Just don't move him down. Keep him where he's at. You'll be just fine for one season.
Yep. This is a surefire hold situation.
Yeah.
Surefire. If I've ever seen one.
But yes, 100%. I could see him wide receiver 30 range. I could see a world where that happens. And that's
I could see a world where he's lower.
But exactly. And that's scary. And that's not something you want to see, especially from a production if you're taking this guy, probably top 7 in your draft. Wait it out.
I'm also going to say this. You'll see flashes. You are going to see flashes of greatness and dominance. Just like you saw with Jackson Smith and Jigba last year. You saw flashes. And you're going to see the same here. Next, we got J.J. McCarthy. This pick. Love this pick, actually.
This is a money pick in the fact that they didn't have to trade. I mean, they ended up trading up one spot, but they did give up significant value to go get their guy, right? So that's the home run from the start. They get their quarterback that they wanted. The Broncos didn't fake him out, but what are your thoughts on JJ? What are your expectations, and what does he need to do to succeed with the Vikings?
I'll be honest with you. I do not think he starts right away. I do think it's a bridge gap situation. Give him some time to come in, learn the system, get acclimated, and then we go. But it's the system set up for a lot of success. Very, very pass happy. I like to hear that. I like volume for my quarterback. And then on top of the fact, you got the best receiver in the league on the other side.
Yep.
You got Jordan Addison here. You got at the end of the year a healthy TJ Hawkinson. And then we just go from there.
He's loaded up too.
The Vikings were a cap casualty, and they cleared a lot of cap. It's time to reset. And if they want to lock in JJ long term, these are the moves that they had to make in the offseason. And here we are. We're going to have a rookie QB, an established winner at the NCAA level, and a pro-style ready guy, ready to go. That's all he ran in Michigan. He knows how to run an offense. He's a pro-style QB. He played well. And I like this situation for JJ McCarthy.
I think it's solid landing spot. One, oh my train of thought just gone. Holy shit. But anyway, yeah, sorry. This is not something I hate comparisons, but as far as the offense gets ran with JJ McCarthy, I think it's going to be a lot of what you kind of see with Brock Purdy with the 49ers. And he's expected to do things when he's expected to, if that makes sense at all. Like, just do the right things and don't make mistakes. And I think that team is probably going to be just fine. And I think that's what he's capable of doing. Given, I don't think he's like a spectacular quarterback. But he'll do what you need. You got JJ on the outside. Throw it in his vicinity, he's probably bringing it down.
I just want to say the NFC North is stacked.
Yeah.
Stacked.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch the North play out. And I'm not saying that the Vikings are going to, come in and compete for the North title. I'm not saying the Bears are going to run in away and compete for the North title. I'm not saying that, but it's just going to be a lot of fun, man. I like the trajectory of the NFC North. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
That heavy rivalry in that division is going to come strong soon. Probably starting this year, if we're being honest. I mean, Packers are 100% in. Lions are been locked in. Bears just got their franchise guy. Vikings just got a brand new quarterback. Probably their franchise guy. I mean, quarterbacks are locked in. I think these four teams are going to be absolutely dueling it out for the next 4 years.
Yep, I'm excited. Now, again, this is where the draft got weird for me. Bo Nix, a guy that we didn't even have in the top 40 as an overall player here when it came to it. Again, this is the first time 6 QBs have ever been taken in an NFL draft in the first round. I truly do think that teams here were reaching for QBs, and I don't necessarily love it. I know the 2025 QB class looks bleak in certain aspects, and I know the trajectory, you don't want to wait on a quarterback. If Bo Nix is the guy, okay, this doesn't change my value on Bo Nix. I'm not in love with the landing spot. I'm not in love with the player. So I'm not going to overreact to the Broncos, quote unquote, finding a starting quarterback.
Yeah. Another pick, well, I'm just scratching my head. Apparently, this is who Sean Payton's wanted all along. They were trying to pump the Vikings to trade up and move value, even though they're not rivals at all. So that's a weird situation. My problem with Bo Nix is I think he had the highest short throw percentage in college last year. And I don't think it was relatively close. I don't know the number off the top of my head. But Mans was the check down king. And how will that translate to the NFL? I'm not sure. Maybe the Sean Payton and the Broncos see something that I don't see. Steven referenced it. He wasn't there in top 40 players. He's got a starting job. That being said, where are you drafting him realistically in your rookie drafts? Because at the end of the day, you're probably playing Superflex leagues, and he's a starting quarterback for a team regardless of whether he's bad or not.
I still don't think he deserves to be a first-round pick.
That's fair. I think first round is probably not in the question, but I'm talking like, are we middle of the second with this or front of the second?
I mean, he's just not somebody I like, so he's not somebody I'm targeting. But if you're QB needy, you're going to target him. He's, to me, ideally, he's a quote unquote mid, let's say 2.3 to 2.6 range.
Yeah. Kind of how Desmond Ridder was with the Viking.
I just don't love the player. It's just a player that I can't get behind. It's a situation I can't get behind. We haven't seen Sean Payton coach meaningful football in so long. I'm not saying he's a washed up coach. I'm not saying he's a washed up NFL mind. I'm just saying overall the situation in Denver is really bad.
It's pretty bleak. Not much to go around either, to be honest with you.
Right. Lose Jerry Jeudy in the offseason. They're talking about trading Cortland Sutton now. So where do I get any excitement out of this roster?
Right. It's where you kind of, I'm going to go back to what you said. I don't think you draft your guy at quarterback until you have something around him. I get that the Patriots had to do that with Drake May, but that's because Drake May is a talent, right? I don't think Bo Nix is that. I think he has a lot of question marks at the position. I think he's got a long way to go. And I'm not sure if Zach Wilson is going to be able to hold that job long enough for Bo Nix to develop. So, all in all, it's so weird to me. I get go get your guy, but they're not ready for it. And I'm not sure if Bo Nix is ready for the job to begin with.
The next guy, this was a spot I didn't have pegged, but we got Brock Bowers to the Raiders. I'll be honest with you. Not many teams run 2 tight end sets. Anybody that was thinking about this being a Gronk, Aaron Hernandez situation, chalk it.
Chalk. See you.
Chalk it. If you have Michael Mayer as a buy, chalk it.
Gotta go.
I'll be honest with you, though. I don't mind the landing spot, especially because Gardner Minshew only had a 7.6-yard ADOT. That's Brock Bowers' wheelhouse.
Yep. Right in that range.
Brock Bowers is a special talent, ladies and gentlemen.
Historically, that boy Minshew loves his tight ends, man.
Loves his tight ends. I know Devontae Adams is there. That's great. Devontae Adams is going to do Devontae Adams things, and he's going to be great. You got Jacoby Myers there, who I am a big fan of. I think he's a very solid receiver, very solid wide receiver too, can do damage. But on the other side, you don't have a Brock Bowers.
Nope.
And now you do have a Brock Bowers. And I actually don't hate this landing spot. I think it's a little bit of a weird landing spot, but I don't hate it.
For sure, unexpected and weird, but I don't think it's a bad thing.
Nope.
Given that boy Devontae is going to eat up some targets. So there's no denying that. That being said, that doesn't mean that Brock Bowers can't also be successful. I'll use the same thing with the Lions last year. 2 different players, right? But Amonra and Laporta, and they work together just fine. I'll give it as Jared Goff versus Gardner Minshew, but it's possible for a tight end and a receiver to both succeed in offense. I don't think that we're looking at another Kyle Pitts situation. I think Brock Bowers should be just fine.
Also, remember, Devontae Adams has an out after this year.
Yeah.
We're out. Not saying it's going to happen because, again, if he produces like he has been, another 1,000+ yard season, he's not going to break Tim Brown's receiving yardage record again. Obviously, he's not going to break his own. But long term, Brock Bowers is a perennial weapon in this offense. And he's going to find a role. He's going to find his way.
Yeah. I think it's a wait and see.
Who we got next on the list?
Is Bowers moving for you in your
No.
Yeah.
He's a different player at the tight end position. If you're in need of a tight end, Brock Bowers is it.
Next we got the biggest gap in the draft for offensive
This is Brian
player.
Thomas, right?
We go to Brian Thomas with the Jags, the 23rd overall pick.
Okay. So the skill set fits Trevor Lawrence very well. Trevor Lawrence is a great deep ball passer. Throws the ball very well. I think it fits the player very well. I don't mind the fit. So how do the targets play out? So you got ETN, who had an increase in receiving last year.
Yep.
Christian Kirk's your number 1 guy. Christian Kirk's going to draw his targets.
Evan Ingram's going to draw his targets. And you have the same player. They're the same archetype. They're not the same player, but you have Gabe Davis there as well. Where does Brian Thomas fit in? So you will never catch me as a Gabe Davis lover ever. I think Brian Thomas steps into the wide receiver 2 role. I probably think he comes 3rd in targets behind Kirk, and Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram and Trevor Lawrence have a great connection going on. That's not changing. Same thing with Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk was doing great before he got injured with Calvin Ridley, who was traded to the team, who was supposed to take over that role and be great. Christian Kirk held strong. I think it continues to be the same thing. He'll step into the wide receiver 2 role, 3rd in targets. What does that mean? I'm not 100% sure what's going to put him as far as the rankings go. And I'm also not a big fan of his route tree translating into the league, given Trevor Lawrence, solid deep ball guy. Not saying that, but we've seen players fizzle in and out with only deep ball threats. And I was just talking to Seth earlier. I think a great comparison where he'll be using the same role Mike Williams was used with the Chargers.
Fair. I don't know Harry. I don't know where he fits in. It's a great complimentary piece to Trevor Lawrence. Again, there's a lot of competition here in Jacksonville. It's not quality competition. It's not high quality. I'm not saying that. Can he beat out Gabe Davis? Yes.
Yeah.
Does he need to develop as an overall receiver? Yes, he does. He's not perfect. He has the athletic tools and skill set to be very good, to be elite, actually.
Sure. Yeah.
But
don't lead
overall, he needs some development.
Yeah, don't lead the FBS in touchdowns for no reason. Oh, man. Let's get into probably the most noteworthy change in these rookie drafts with the next pick. Xavier Worthy traded. Chiefs traded up for him. They wanted him. The rumors were not false. He actually lands in Kansas City. Now the real conversation of movement begins. We've done plenty of these mocks. He's been going between the 110 and the 2-3 in that range. I think for sure, at least, he's locked into the 1-9 as of right now. Would you go any higher?
No. I think McCarthy has locked in at the 1-8.
Yeah.
I think he's the 1-9.
Okay.
I do think he's the 1-9. And no disrespect to Xavier Worthy. Just those guys that we have previously mentioned are very, very good. Very good. And they deserve to be where they're at. Anybody that's willing to put him over Neighbors, Odunze, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. That's a little outrageous to me. I love the landing spot. Again, but we've seen a lot of these speed guys fail in Kansas City as well. We're trying to find the next Tyreek. We're trying to find the next Tyreek Hill, guys. And to be honest, I don't think there is another Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is a different animal. It's hard to replicate that. I compare this to the same thing. We're trying to find the next Steph Curry in basketball. And to be honest, there's not.
Yeah.
So from a landing spot perspective, I think it's perfect.
Absolutely.
Because if you've noticed, every year from the last year of Tyreek Hill all the way till now, Patrick Mahomes' ADOT has significantly dropped each season. What does that mean? Does that mean the receivers just aren't getting open deep? Are defenses over-rolling to the deep ball and not allowing Pat Mahomes to take those shots? Or does that mean that he's just trying to play safer?
Right. I think a lot of it comes down to just trusting his receivers. I mean, you saw last year, led the league in drops, so it's an obvious glaring problem. I think you see the ADOT obviously go back up with Worthy. You're using the picture, entering the picture. I think they're going to get to work. They're going to try to make this work. Say that back to back. But I'm excited about Xavier Worthy being with the Chiefs.
I am.
I mean, how can you not? Like, I 100% the people's gut reaction of, oh, okay, let's move him up. I mean, end of the day, you're thinking about it. You're playing with a quarterback that can throw the ball for 45 to 5,000 yards just about every year, no problem. A bulk of those yards have to go to somebody. So I understand these people that are moving him up 6, 7, 8 in their board and saying, oh, well, I'll pass on JJ McCarthy. I'll go get myself Xavier Worthy. I think I'm with you. He's the 1-9. I think anything higher is a little bit risky. But I'm a big fan of his talent, if I'm being honest with you.
Yep. I'm also going to say this. There's a lot of competition there still. Please remember that. I know Travis is aging. I know we've seen Travis slow down to a decline standpoint. I know Rashee Rice is in a little bit of trouble here that we don't know how it's all going to play out. Yeah, a little bit of trouble here. We're going to see how it plays out. Rashee Rice, remember, was becoming a pivotal part of this offense.
Yeah.
If Worthy's your wide receiver too, you are now the third option behind Travis Kelce.
Tough.
Understand that. But Rashee Rice was carving out a huge role. So we'll see how that plays out. And then you add another speed guy in Hollywood Brown, another vet who's paid his dues, who's going to get some looks as well. So to say that, do I think Xavier Worthy is a 1,000-yard receiver off rip? No.
Probably not. No.
But I do think he finds his way in this offense. Again, a lot of people will reference Michael Hardman. Michael Hardman couldn't run routes like Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy is a different beast. And I do like him as a player.
The hit fluidity. Insane.
Yes.
I've said it before. I'll keep saying it. It's such a rare thing.
But I'm not willing to move him up my boards as drastically as people are. There's a lot of overreaction, and I don't think the overreaction is warranted to the point where I'm moving him ahead of Brock Bowers or guys like that.
Sure. It's definitely an exciting thought, though.
Sure.
That being said, we got two guys that I don't think I expected to see in the back of the first round. Starting off with Ricky Pearsall to the 49ers. Love the talent of Pearsall. My immediate thought is, which one goes?
That's my thought. My thought is, who's getting traded? That's my question.
Who's gone? Because if you're taking the guy at 31 that you believe in, and you already have Kittle, Ayuk, CMC, Debo, and now adding another, someone's got to give.
Yep. You remember San Fran is one of those teams that are heavily invested in a championship. They are becoming a cap casualty as well.
Oh, 100%.
Ayuk hasn't even earned a contract yet. And then you have Debo, who's locked into his contract. You have Purdy, who's on a rookie deal, who keeps playing this way, is going to have to earn a contract. McCaffrey's on a big contract for a running back. There's a lot of cap casualties down in San Fran. So that's the question that comes with this. Who's getting traded?
Who goes where?
And I'll be honest with you, I think Ricky Pearsall's skill set reflects more of a Brandon Ayuk type of receiver than it does a Debo type of receiver.
That's fair.
I'm not saying it's going to be Ayuk. I'm not saying that. But I am saying if you're going to replace him, Ricky Pearsall to me reflects more of a Brandon Ayuk type of receiver.
Absolutely. What I think of his mistake, I think the better thing for them to do was just move Debo and sign Ayuk. But I'm not a GM. They've already paid Debo. His contract's locked in for probably cheaper than they would pay Ayuk to begin with. I think it makes sense to move Ayuk, even though I don't love that for them. But Pearsall, welcome to the 49ers, and they are a very efficient offense. I would imagine if they're drafting him this high, they have a plan for him. I don't expect him to go off year one, especially if they don't move a receiver. Definitely if they don't move a receiver, it'd be buried like hell. But even if they move Ayuk or Debo, I think he's still sitting in purgatory for now.
Agreed. There's a lot of mouths to feed in this offense.
Yeah.
Especially with it being a heavily dominant run-first offense. And McCaffrey plays a huge role in the receiving game.
Big time.
So, while I love the player, I do think it takes time to carve out a role.
It's one of those sad things where this isn't a fantasy football pick for the 49ers. This is a team scheme pick, wide receiver. Let's get this guy. We can do X and Y with him, plug him in the offense and go.
Yep.
Sadly, that does not lead to fantasy relevancy, but for the 49ers, I think it's a solid pick.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not really adjusting much here. Ricky Pearsall was going third round, so he will be a second round pick.
Yeah.
He will jump to the second round, and rightfully so. But I will say, temper your expectations. Again, I think this is more of a scheme fit, NFL fit, than it is a fantasy fit.
Absolutely.
Last pick. Carolina Panthers trade into the first round, trade up one pick to get Xavier Leggett. I don't think this is a weird reaction for me because, again, we were talking about high demand of draft capital. A lot of people last year didn't even know who Jonathan Mingo was out of Ole Miss, and he was a second-round talent, and Jonathan Mingo showed me nothing impressive to where I was excited about him going into year two. The receiving core has to be rebuilt. I get it. Deontay Johnson is a good start. That's a clean route runner who separates well, who's going to demand a lot of targets. Adam Thielen is way past his prime now. We're talking about Adam Thielen pushing age 34. I don't think he's going to play a significant role for much longer, if only 2024. But I don't know. I don't know who makes an impact here. I don't.
They're building that room up for him, man. They're trying to give Bryce Young what he can to succeed. Deontay, I think, is a great ad. Leggett, I like him as a prospect. I do. He's one of my sleeper guys. I love that I can say that I was on him before he went in the first round. That's fantastic. I'm not quite sure what it means for him in real life. We still don't know if Bryce Young is him. It's still yet to be proven. And if he's not him and it doesn't work out, Leggett's just hanging around.
Yeah, see,
he's a physical specimen, though.
This is one of those guys that's more of an athletic tester and a
Yes.
physical specimen guy. We're talking about the huge upside of a DK Metcalf type receiver. That's the ceiling for Xavier Leggett, in my opinion. Will he ever reach that ceiling? Or is he a N'Keal Harry? Is he that guy? Is he a guy? I'm not saying N'Keal Harry is, as good as DK Metcalf when it comes to playing the ball and traffic and things like that. I'm not saying that. But is he one of those highly touted guys who tested well athletically, that showed some flash and promise, and is just a flash in the pan? That could be that guy. I think this is a high risk, high reward pick. I really do. I think that's where this is. And if it pans out to be great, and it's a great sleeper pick here, then fantastic. But again, his value doesn't change for me much either. I do think he's a back end second pick. I like the player, like you said. I don't love the player.
That's fair. I think it's an accurate statement. It's like I noticed him in film pretty early on. It was always he has to keep passing tests. He passed the combine, did pretty well. Now he's going to face the ultimate test of having to make Bryce Young look good. No, but we'll see with him. I'm excited to see what he can do. The ceiling is definitely there, but the floor is also scary as hell. But no movement for him either. Like you said, same. When Pearsall rises, I think Leggett stays where he's been going.
Yeah.
Back end of the second. I think he's still worth a flyer there.
Yeah. So that's going to be it for our first round coverage. We have a lot of NFL coverage to talk about, guys. So please be patient with us as we break down all these landing spots. There are a lot of prospects to talk about. And it's going to take a little bit to get through all these videos. We have 7 rounds of NFL draft coverage plus free agent signings. So we're going to move on to round 2 in our next podcast. We're going to do round 2. We're going to break it down. Then we can break it down 3, 4, 5. However Ryan wants to do it, we'll figure it out. But there were some impacts in round 2 that I really liked as well.
Absolutely.
So round 1, a lot of guys that we saw, they're going to stay the same. Biggest mover, biggest riser being, in my opinion, Xavier Worthy. You were getting him 2-1, 2-3 in that range, sometimes 112, 111, depending on the love of the player. He's definitely the 1-9. It's locked in for sure.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say before we get out here, Ryan?
That's it. Apps, 100%. Thanks for tuning in tonight. This is a show I've been looking forward for a while. I absolutely love draft day. It's like a holiday for me. And I love that I'm given a platform to talk about the fantasy impact. And thank you so much to Yards Per. I love it. I love it. And let us know in the comments if you're still here. What do you think about your team? It doesn't matter if you took an offensive player, defensive player. How do you think your team did?
Fair enough. I just want to say, as always, Yards Per Fantasy, thank you guys very much for giving us a platform to talk. If you guys like the video, there's a like, comment, and subscribe button on the YouTube. We would much appreciate that. And on that note, guys, this is the podcast where we're going to end it out here, and we are out.